December tends to give us a bit of a slow, quiet finish to the year. But what's happening in Hamilton is way more than just a seasonal slowdown. 2025 wrapped up as one of the slowest years we've seen for home sales since 2010, with under 9,000 total sales for the year across the entire region. That's Hamilton, Burlington, Haldimand County, and Niagara North, making it more than 30% below long-term averages. So in this video, I'm going to break down what actually happened in December 2025, which numbers really matter right now, and which neighborhoods are behaving differently than the rest. I also did a video on my predictions for 2026. You can watch that here. Now, let's get into this one. But first, I just want to let you know that this video is part of a collective of agents across North America who are all doing market reports. If you'd like to find out what's going in other markets, look below in the description and you'll see links to those videos. Now, let's start with the big picture numbers from the Realtors Association of Hamilton and Burlington. In December 2025, the city of Hamilton saw only 285 sales, which is down 18% year over year. That's a number that has continued to decline monthly. We had 368 new listings come onto the market in December. That's only down 5% year over year, but December isn't a big month for new listings for obvious reasons. But those did add to the total number of listings of 1,611. That is up 14%. So obviously homes are not selling at the rate that they used to, which we're all aware of, I think, at this point, because the months of supply of 5.7 is up nearly 40% from last year. And what that means, months of supply is a metric that we use to say that if all the homes sold and none others came onto the market, that's the amount of time it would take for them all to sell. And that has continued to increase to almost 6 months. That is definitely considered a buyer's market. The average days on market is 54. And what that means is that it takes the average home that does sell 54 days to do so. There are plenty of homes that have been sitting on the market for hundreds of days at this point. But what about the prices? They are down 14% from this time last year. Average sale price of $663,558. That's definitely a significant number, not in the sense that many people would have thought. A lot of people think the market is crashing, it's tumbling, it's collapsing. That's not really the case. With an average price of still almost $700,000 in Hamilton, some people might be scratching their head like, how could that possibly be? Prices have continued to grind down slowly. Again, this is an average price, including Hamilton and surrounding areas. So that includes some of the higher priced areas like Ancaster, Dundas, Stoney Creek, etc. So it takes into account all those areas, and that's where you get your average price from. All that being said, this combination is important to pay attention to. Sales are slow, but listings keep coming on the market, making it so all homes are taking longer to sell if they're going to sell at all. And it's been that way for much of 2025. And I believe this will continue into 2026. Contrary to what many sellers that I speak to are hoping. I've had so many conversations that have just been all about, you know what, I'm just going to hold off. I'm going to wait till the spring. These are people who were thinking about selling in fall. They said they're going to wait till spring because that's when the market will bounce back, because that's what always happens. I don't think that that's going to be the same this year. In fact, I was warning a lot of people that you should probably list and sell while you can instead of waiting, because I don't see prices going up anytime soon. Be that as it may, I think there's a part that people miss here. Like I said, this isn't a collapse per se, but it is a clear shift back to a slower and eventually, I think, more balanced market. The hype is gone. With the lowest sales since 2010 with under 6,000, with the lowest sales since 2010 with just over 5,500 for the entire year. That's a given. And like I said, this is 30% below what we consider a normal year. And this elevated inventory will continue to put downward pressure on prices. The question is, how low can they go? Because Hamilton homes are still 25 to 30% higher than they were pre-pandemic. So is there room for them to come down further? Yeah, there is. But how much? It's really tough to say. With the way things have been going, it's easy to predict that they'll continue to go low. But for how long? Because at some point, it's going to draw more people into the market. I don't think that Canadians have completely just cut themselves off to ever buying a home, especially when it's becoming more and more accessible again. At some point, this is going to bring people in, and you never want to be part of the crowd when it comes to buying real estate. But for now, let's keep talking about where the pain is. Because not all housing types are being hit equally. On a benchmark price basis, condo apartments were hit the hardest. They're down 8% year over year. Detached, semi-detached, and townhomes are all down about 5%. But condo owners are definitely feeling the squeeze from investor exits and softening rental prices. Meanwhile, single-family homes are faring much better if they're priced correctly. And I can't stress this enough. I've said it a million times and I'll say it a million more. If you want to sell your property, you have to be realistic. You can't be selling it based on previous months' prices. You have to be looking forward. You have to be realistic about what your home actually is. You have to listen to your realtor when they talk about the little things that they can do to help you sell that property. Again, if you really want to sell, if you don't, if you're just testing the market to see if you can get your number, it's not going to happen, but sure, go for it. But if you have to be out based on, financial pressures and your mortgage coming up for renewal or life changes, you're going to have to sell at what the market is willing to bear, I'm sorry to tell you. Now let's talk about which neighborhoods stood out, because it's kind of interesting. Hamilton West being one of the biggest outliers. Sales were up 50% year over year, but prices are down. The average price actually fell more than 23%. This tells me that buyers are active here because this is a sought-after area, but only when pricing is aggressive. Hamilton Center continues to be one of the most affordable areas in the city, but it's still under pressure. Prices are down almost 20% and there's lots available. So this area is attracting buyers, but value matters more than ever. Now, Dundas really stood out. The sales were low, but the months of supply is under 3, which is far tighter than the rest of Hamilton, like I mentioned earlier. This is what happens in supply-constrained, lifestyle-driven neighborhoods. Even in slower markets, they don't behave the same. Even Ancaster and Flamborough are still way more expensive relative to the rest of the city, but they're not immune from the market. Both saw double-digit price declines and higher months of inventory. Luxury and move-up homes are taking longer to sell, just like everything else. Even though moving up in this market is one of the most advantageous places to be in. And then when it comes to luxury, a lot of times that segment of the market isn't as affected by the economy. So if you are a buyer right now, this is one of the best negotiating environments we've seen. I've said it before, and I know I'm going to get those comments that the market still has to come down another 50%. I mean, sure, if that's what you're waiting for, then good luck, but I don't see it. Right now, you have selection, you have time, and you have leverage. But you still need to be strategic because the best homes are still selling. And sellers, I'm sorry to break it to you, but you are now competing with every listing on the market, especially if you've been on the market for a little while. You are being pushed down by the newer listings. So if you are planning to buy or sell in 2026, understanding these trends, especially on a neighborhood level, is critical. If I can be of any help, even if it's just to pick my brain, there's a link below, you can do so. Until then, I'll see you on the next one.